Hi everyone, welcome for tuning in to the first and what we hope is the first of many Travis CI webinars. I'm Paul, I'm the Product Marketing Manager for Travis CI and Assembla, so doing a bit of a cross organisation job. What we're going to be doing today, we're going to keep things nice and short and sweet. Montana, my colleague, who's the Developer Relations Manager for Travis, is going to be taking you through how to set up Assembler with an existing GitHub repo, take things all the way through to Travis CI, run a build, and see what happens from there. So take you through common gotchas, anything that might go wrong along the way, and get you up and running. So without further ado, I will hand over to Montana.
All right, thank you, Paul. As you can see, we're going to be integrating Assembla and Travis CI into your workflow. For the second slide, we're basically just going to say or tell you how to get started with Assembla. So essentially what you want to do is you want to go to travisci.com. And next thing you'll want to do is you want to sign up with Assembla. Accept the auth token for Travis CI. You'll be then redirected to Assembla. So that's one thing to keep in mind. Click on your profile picture, click settings, and toggle the repos you want to use with Travis CI. Obviously, you're not going to want to use all your repos. If you do, you'll next need to add a .travis YAML file to your repo to tell Travis CI what to do. Obviously, this is common and needs to be done. And now let's see how this is done in the Assembla environment. So as you can see, we're in Assembla. We're in a space called Webinar Live. And we're going to import a repo from GitHub. So we're going to go switch over to GitHub really quick. So you see my username, Montana, Travis OS query, and the classic code button. We're going to use a clipboard. Don't want to miss anything. And now we want to click on this nice green shiny plus, and we're going to click New Repository. And we're going to, let's see here, create a space. Oh, sorry, let's go back. Sorry about that. Actually, it worked. Okay, for the sake of time, we're going to create a new space. So we can call this Travis Assembla init. Now we'll click that shiny green button again. And now let's try to do new repo. Oh, now here they are. Now actually let's do Webinar Live. And we'll do Travis Assembla int. And now this is where we're going to import the repo from GitHub. Control B. And you'll see github.com/montana/Travis OS query. So we'll import. And you'll see all the source files, so git ignore, Travis, the licensing, everything that you would expect to see from your repo. We're going to go to space settings. And we're going to go to security. And because the repo by default is private, so we want to make sure that it's public, so it will build. So we're going to switch everything to all. That's public access, watchers access, team members access, and tool. And we're going to update tool permissions. Okay, so now we're going to switch over to Travis CI. And we're going to sign in with Assembla. Obviously, we can sign in with various VCSs, but for this, we're going to sign in with Assembla. And Travis CI is currently syncing all the repos. Great, so they've synced all the details from Assembla, and it's going to redirect to the profile in a few seconds. Great. Let's see here. Webinar test or webinar live. There we go. And I believe, yeah. So there is a repo we made, Travis Assembla int, that we imported from GitHub, and we are going to toggle that on. And now we're going to do settings. And you'll see more options. We'll get into a little bit of more of the UI in a bit, but just for now, we're going to trigger build. My recommendation is always do a custom commit message. So I usually just say trigger build. And then we'll click branches. And we'll click that. And as you can see, they're both building provisionally. They're booting the Docker container. And while these are building, I'm going to hand it back over to Paul so he can show you some more features of Assembla.
Thanks, Montana. I'll just switch over to my screen quickly. So hopefully, if you've used VCS tools in the past, like GitHub, like Montana's moved the code over, you should be familiar with a lot of the UI in Assembler. So as Montana showed, this is the source. It should match pretty much exactly as you've got from your existing VCS. Just scooching across, we'll be able to see the commits that have been made. And obviously, this brings across the historic commits that have been made. And by going into each one of these, we get all of the prior information. And you can see here, this has been through a Travis build before. So with Montana's account, it gives us a running update as to what the progress was for builds. And we can also see the diff between two commits as well. So it's really handy having that in there. You can also do a git diff in the UI using the compare tool as well. So if I quickly wanted to see a difference from the master to one of the later commits, that gives me full details of what files and commits have happened in that comparison. And a feature unique to Assembler, what is really good is it has an alpha scan security scan. So just while Montana was running the build, I ran this in the background, and this actually does a full scan on your code and highlights any issues that it might find with it. So we can see here that it's found 3 issues in Montana's code. It's not normally that bad. And if I just select one of these files just as an example, you can see here that the alpha scan has actually picked up a public key. So obviously, if you're doing development in a development environment and using keys just for getting things up and running, obviously you don't want those shown in a production environment. So running the security scan in Assembler is really gives you one step ahead of everybody by finding any security issues like that before moving to a production environment. And lastly, I won't step through all these, but yeah, really encourage you to get signed up with Assembler and just have a look around. If you work, if you're a developer and obviously work in a much larger development team, it's not just using Assembler as a VCS. It does have tools like a ticketing system. It produces metrics so you can see your burn down charts, and also working with colleagues, you've got time reports and daily stand-ups that it can manage as well. So yeah, really suggest getting signed up and just having a play around with Assembler. And I'll hand back over to Montana to see how the build's gone.
All right, thank you, Paul. As you can see, we have green checks all over the place, which is a great sign. It means our build has passed and Travis is happy. So some tips that I'm going to be showing you right now. A lot of people don't know this, but you can actually set environment variables within the UI. So a lot of the times people will go in the CLI and set Docker envars And sometimes that can be a hassle, but I really found the way to do this is for the UI. So for example, if I had Docker username, and the value is Montana Mindy, we just add that. And then the next one would be Docker password. And sorry guys, I can't tell you that. Well, it's actually showing it, but let's just do 3 A's. And there you go. Your N-bars are actually set within Travis CI now. So there's not going to be any errors asking where your N-bars are. There's no CLI setup. It's just straight to the point setup. Secondly, I want to kind of get to the cron jobs. I think cron jobs are essential and very important to any build. My suggestion is to do a weekly interval, but that's obviously up to you. And this is something you can also do in the UI. I see a lot of people having not trouble, but it's a lot more difficult for beginners to set it up in the CLI. So I always recommend just to do it in the UI. So again, these are just 2 features that some people don't know about that are there and are available to really anyone who uses Travis CI. We're going to get back to some of the slides now. A lot of people ask, why do you need Travis? And the reality is it's instant feedback on broken code. So if you're deploying code that doesn't build, compile, that's broke, Travis will tell you that, and it will not build. Obviously, in conjunction, you can use something like coveralls just to make sure. And early notifications of conflicting changes. So this could be someone that put in another dependency that you may not want, or it's a dependency that conflicts with another one. Travis will also let you know that. Frequent code checkups. And what this really does is incentivizes the engineer to create modular, less complex solutions. So basically, we want simple solutions to everything. And I don't want to say when you're under the gun, but definitely when you have a CI/CD saying this isn't passing build for whatever reason, this definitely makes engineers think a little bit outside the box. The option to run unit tests, deploy on staging, even run smoke tests or smoke screens, as some people call them, and only then to deploy to production are all features of Travis, which are all crucial, obviously, as a developer. And being a developer myself, these are all crucial things that I use almost daily. Some classic gotchas in Travis. These are the top 3 I've seen. I browse the forums a lot, help a lot of people. First one, let's get into overcaching. You can cache so much that it slows your build down. You can even cache arbitrary directories where you might write your own dependencies. I myself have cached a gig, and that's definitely cache overuse. In that case, I removed the cache and that improved build time. And when you start misusing the Travis branch syntax, so this is, you know, if you want to do a PR, deploy on what branch, a lot of the times I see people will set it to the target branch as opposed to the origin, and that causes a bunch of confusion, and it just really doesn't set the project back, but it takes 35, 40 minutes to figure out what exactly is going on. So that is a definite gotcha I always see. 2 builds per PR pull request. This means, in theory, 1 build is for the branch, and 1 PR itself is being pushed to branches and pushed to PRs. And you can control this behavior in the UI. You can turn that. You can actually toggle this on or off. So some people prefer this. Most I've seen don't, and they consider it an issue. But Again, this is something you can toggle on or off. So it is a feature in there if you need it. To optimize your Travis builds, more bash syntax. So this is shell scripts. So if you have, let's say, a Docker container going and you use Quay from Red Hat and you want to pull from your own repo and you want Travis to build from that, you write a shell script, and from the YAML file, you used the script hook and, make whatever your shell script name is, put it in the script hook, and it will run the bash script. Secondly, give jobs names so you know what they actually do. A lot of the times people don't give jobs names, so you'll be in this big YAML file and you'll see these script hooks. You'll see before success, after success, and you're not really sure what's going on. So I think it's very imperative to give a job names just to see what it's doing. And minimize the jobs you have if you're doing a build matrix. Build matrices are not that complex in theory, but they can start getting complex once you start running 5, 6 different OSs and different archetypes. It can get very confusing. So it is very imperative to go back to the second point to name those, but also try, if you can, to minimize those jobs. And kind of flipping back to what I was saying about overcaching, if you don't overcache, you should take advantage of Travis caching and build stage features. But remember, don't overcache. Let's go on to the next slide. Now for Q&A. Okay, so thank you for attending the Travis CI and Assembla integration webinar. I've left both Paul and I's emails just in case you have any questions that you weren't able to ask today. And I'm going to hand it over to Paul for final thoughts. And I had a lot of fun, and I hope you join us for the next one.
Yeah, thanks, Montana. Me too. And yeah, hopefully, people found that interesting, and how to move things along from the VCS of choice to assembler and build with Travis. And we'll see you in the next webinar. Thanks very much, everyone.
Yeah, thank you.